single head, barely visible above the snow. Forest Ranger Emma Thompson thought she was hallucinating, until she saw it blink. A wild foal, buried alive up to its neck in a snowdrift, had been trapped for hours in sub-zero temperatures. Emma had minutes to dig it out before hypothermia claimed its life. But when she finally freed the foal from its frozen prison, what she discovered underneath the snow wasn't just one miracle. It was two. And the truth behind how they got there would shake the entire wildlife community. Before we reveal what Emma found, if you love extraordinary animal rescue stories that defy belief, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You will not want to miss what happens next. Emma Thompson started her morning patrol at 6:15 a.m., just as the winter sun began painting the Wyoming wilderness in shades of pink and gold. As a senior forest ranger with the Bridger-Teton National Forest, Emma had seen plenty of brutal winters during her 15 years in the backcountry. But the blizzard that had hammered the region 3 days earlier was historic, dropping nearly 4 feet of snow in less than 24 hours, with wind gusts that created drifts measuring 10 to 15 feet deep in some areas. Her assignment today was a wellness check on the wildlife corridor near Blacktail Ridge, an area known for its wild Mustang population. Severe winter storms could be devastating for wild horses. They could become separated from their herds, trapped in deep snow, or buried in sudden avalanches. Emma's job was to locate any animals in distress and coordinate rescue operations if necessary. The temperature had plummeted overnight to -12 degrees Fahrenheit, and with the wind chill, it felt closer to -30. Emma's breath created clouds of vapor that froze instantly on her scarf. Her snowmobile cut through the pristine landscape, following trails she knew by heart, even when they were buried under feet of fresh powder. 2 hours into her patrol, approximately 8 miles from the nearest road, Emma spotted something that made her slow down. At first, she thought it was a rock formation, or perhaps a dead tree stump protruding from the snow. But as she drew closer, the shape seemed wrong, too organic, too irregular. Emma cut her snowmobile's engine and dismounted, her boots sinking deep into the powder. The silence of the winter wilderness was absolute, broken only by the soft whisper of wind through the pine trees. She trudged forward, each step requiring effort in the deep, uneven snow. Then the rock moved. Emma's heart jumped into her throat as she realized what she was looking at. It was a head. A horse's head. Just the head, protruding from the snow like some surreal sculpture. The rest of the animal was completely buried beneath what must be at least 4 feet of compacted snow. "Oh my God," Emma breathed, breaking into a run despite the difficult terrain. As she got closer, she could see it was a young foal, probably less than 6 months old. Its dark eyes were open, tracking her movement, but the expression in them was beyond despair. It was resignation. The foal had stopped fighting. It was simply enduring, waiting for the inevitable end. The foal's muzzle was crusted with ice and frost. Its visible coat was covered in frozen condensation from its own breath. How long had it been trapped like this? Hours? Since the storm ended? The temperature alone should have killed it by now. The fact that it was still alive was nothing short of miraculous. "Hey, baby, hey," Emma called softly, dropping to her knees beside the buried animal. "I'm here. I'm going to get you out. Stay with me, okay? Just stay with me." The foal blinked slowly, the only movement it seemed capable of making. Its ears, barely visible above the snow line, didn't even flicker toward Emma's voice. Advanced hypothermia had set in. The foal's core body temperature had dropped so low that its biological systems were shutting down, conserving energy for only the most essential functions. Emma grabbed her radio, her hands shaking. Whether from cold or adrenaline, she couldn't tell. "This is Thompson. I have a critical wildlife emergency at Blacktail Ridge, coordinates following. Young foal trapped in deep snow, severe hypothermia. I'm beginning emergency extraction now." Emma didn't wait for backup. Every second counted. She threw off her heavy pack and grabbed the collapsible avalanche shovel, a piece of equipment every backcountry ranger carried but hoped never to use. The snow around the foal was densely packed, compressed by wind and its own weight into something approaching the consistency of concrete. She began digging frantically, starting a wide perimeter around the foal's head to avoid accidentally injuring it with the shovel. The physical exertion was intense, and despite the sub-zero temperatures, Emma soon felt sweat forming under her layers of cold-weather gear. She worked with systematic efficiency born from years of emergency training, removing snow layer by layer, creating a trench around the buried animal. "Come on, baby, hang in there," Emma panted, her breath coming in gasps from the altitude and exertion. "You're doing great. I'm almost there." As she dug deeper, she began to understand the foal's situation. This wasn't simply a case of an animal getting caught in deep snow and being unable to escape. The snow had an unusual structure, compressed in a way that suggested it hadn't just fallen naturally. It looked almost like the foal had been in a depression or hole when the snow accumulated, with wind creating a drift that buried it completely. After 20 minutes of exhausting digging, Emma had cleared enough snow to reveal the foal's shoulders and upper body. The young horse was even smaller than she'd initially thought, probably only about 3 months old, weighing maybe 150 pounds. Its tiny body was shaking with violent tremors, a good sign that it was still fighting hypothermia, still generating heat. "That's it. That's good shaking. Keep shaking, baby. Your body knows what to do," Emma encouraged, even as her own muscles burned from the effort of digging. She worked her way down the foal's body, clearing snow from its rib cage, and that's when she noticed something that made her pause. The foal's body was positioned strangely, not standing, not lying down, but in an awkward crouch, as if it had been trying to shelter something beneath it. Emma's heart began to race for a different reason now. "Please, no," she whispered. "Please don't let there be." She dug faster, more frantically, clearing snow from around the foal's barrel and hindquarters. And then she saw it. Beneath the half-freed foal, buried even deeper in the snow, was a dark shape. Another body. "No, no, no," Emma chanted, dropping to her hands and knees and using her gloved hands to scoop away snow, no longer trusting the shovel. Within minutes, the truth was revealed. There was a second foal, even tinier than the first, probably newborn, maybe only days old. It was lying beneath its slightly older sibling, completely motionless, its small body covered in a thick layer of ice and frost. Emma's professional training told her the newborn was almost certainly dead. Nothing could survive being buried in sub-zero temperatures for this long. But her heart refused to accept it. She placed her hand against the tiny foal's chest, searching for any sign of life, any flutter of a heartbeat, any hint of breath. And there, so faint she almost missed it, she felt it. A heartbeat. Slow, dangerously slow, but present. Against all odds, both foals were alive. The older foal had been using its own body to shelter its smaller sibling, creating a pocket of air and warmth that had kept them both alive just long enough for Emma to find them. Emma's mind raced through emergency protocols as she worked to free both foals completely from their frozen prison. This changed everything. One hypothermic foal was a challenging rescue. Two, including a newborn that was barely clinging to life, was exponentially more complex. She grabbed her radio again. Thompson updating previous report. Situation is now 2 foals, repeat, 2 foals. One approximately 3 months old, one newborn. Both with severe hypothermia. I need immediate helicopter medical evacuation and Dr. Sarah Williams from the Large Animal Emergency Response Team. This is now a double critical rescue. The response came back quickly. Copy that, Thompson. Helicopter is spinning up now. ETA to your location is 18 minutes. Dr. Williams is being contacted. Keep them alive, Emma. 18 minutes. It might as well have been 18 hours. Emma knew from her training that these foals were in the metabolic icebox stage of hypothermia, their bodies so cold that normal biological processes had nearly stopped. Paradoxically, this had kept them alive longer than should have been possible, but it also meant that rewarming had to be done carefully and gradually. Too fast, and their hearts could go into fatal arrhythmia. Too slow, and their organs would fail before their core temperature rose enough to sustain life. Emma pulled emergency thermal blankets from her pack, crinkly metallic sheets designed to reflect body heat back toward the source. She wrapped the tiny newborn first, using her own body heat to begin the gradual warming process. The foal was so small it fit entirely against her chest, and Emma tucked it inside her open parka, directly against her base layers. The slightly older foal was too large for this approach. Emma wrapped it in multiple thermal blankets, then did something that broke every ranger protocol but followed the older wisdom of survival in extreme conditions. She activated the chemical hand warmers she carried and carefully placed them around the foal's core body, not directly on the skin, but against the blankets, focusing on warming the heart, and vital organs first. As she worked, Emma's mind grappled with the mystery of how these 2 foals had ended up buried together in the middle of nowhere. The older foal was clearly protecting the younger one, but where was their mother? Where was their herd? Wild Mustang bands were tight-knit family groups. They didn't abandon their young, especially not vulnerable babies. Emma scanned the surrounding area and noticed for the first time what she'd missed in her initial urgency. About 15 feet away, barely visible as a larger mound in the snow, was another shape. Emma's stomach dropped. She trudged through the snow and began brushing away the powder from the mound. It was a mare. The foal's mother, almost certainly. She was lying on her side, frozen, clearly dead for at least 2 days. From what Emma could see, there were no obvious injuries, no signs of predator attack, no visible trauma. Most likely, she had died from complications during or shortly after the newborn's birth. The extreme cold, the stress of labor, perhaps an underlying health condition, any combination could have been fatal. The timeline became clear. The mare had given birth during or just before the blizzard. The combination of labor, extreme cold, and possibly birth complications had killed her. The older foal, probably the mare's offspring from the previous spring, had tried to protect its newborn sibling, using its own body as a shelter as the snow buried them all. That older foal had made a choice. It could have fled, could have tried to find the herd, could have saved itself. Instead, it stayed with its baby sibling, sacrificing its own chance of survival to give the newborn the best possible odds. The distinctive thump, thump, thump of helicopter rotors echoed across the snowy wilderness, the most beautiful sound Emma had ever heard. The medical evacuation helicopter appeared over the ridge, a bright red and white beacon of hope against the blue winter sky. Landing in deep, uneven snow was dangerous, but the pilot was experienced in wilderness rescues. The helicopter touched down about 50 yards from Emma's position, rotors still spinning, creating a blizzard of blown snow. Two figures jumped out. Dr. Sarah Williams carrying a large emergency veterinary kit, and her assistant, Jake Morrison, with specialized transport equipment. Sarah was a legend in Wyoming wildlife rescue circles, a veterinarian who dedicated her 30-year career to saving wild animals in crisis. She ran through the snow with surprising speed for someone in her late 50s, dropping to her knees beside Emma and the foals. "Tell me everything," Sarah commanded, already pulling out a stethoscope and portable vital signs monitor. Emma rapid-fired the situation. Older foal, approximately 3 months old, buried up to neck for estimated 4 to 6 hours. Core temp when I found it was probably in the low 80s. Newborn, maybe 3 to 5 days old, was beneath the older foal. Mother deceased approximately 15 feet away, appears to have died during or shortly after birth. Both foals showing severe hypothermia with barely detectable vital signs. Sarah worked with practiced efficiency, listening to hearts and lungs, checking capillary refill, assessing the level of hypothermia. The newborn is at around 85 degrees. The older foal is at 87. Both are in moderate to severe hypothermic state, but Emma, the fact that they're alive at all is miraculous. She looked up at Emma with an expression of professional amazement. That older foal saved its sibling's life. It created a microclimate, its body heat, the air pocket it maintained. Even its breath warmed the space around the newborn. Without that protection, the baby would have been dead within an hour of birth in these conditions. Jake had brought specialized warming equipment, veterinary-grade heated blankets that could be temperature-controlled, 4 fluids that could be warmed, even a portable incubator system for the newborn. But transporting 2 critical patients in a helicopter designed for human rescue presented challenges. "We need to rewarm gradually," Sarah explained, setting up IV lines in both foals to deliver warmed fluids and glucose directly into their systems. "Too fast and their hearts won't handle it. We'll start the warming here, continue during transport, and have the full intensive care setup ready at the facility." The older foal, responding to the warming and IV fluids, opened its eyes more fully and looked directly at Emma. It was a look of such profound exhaustion and gratitude that Emma felt tears freeze on her cheeks. This young horse had endured the unendurable, had made a choice that showed remarkable intelligence and compassion, and had survived against impossible odds. "You're a hero, little one," Emma whispered, stroking the foal's icy muzzle. "You saved your baby brother or sister. You're a hero." The newborn, nestled in the portable incubator system Jake had assembled, began to show signs of improvement as its core temperature slowly rose. The tiny foal made a sound, a weak, mewling whinny that was the most beautiful thing Emma had ever heard. "We've got a fighting chance, Junts," Sarah announced. "Let's get them to the hospital. Every minute counts." As the helicopter lifted off, Emma watched from the ground, her heart full of hope and wonder. She'd witnessed something extraordinary today. Not just the resilience of wild animals, but the depth of their emotional bonds, their capacity for sacrifice and love. 3 weeks later, Emma stood at the viewing window of the Wyoming Wild Horse Conservation Center's rehabilitation facility, watching a miracle play out before her eyes. In a specially designed indoor paddock filled with soft bedding and warming lamps, 2 foals, one noticeably larger than the other, played together. The older foal, now officially named Guardian by the rehabilitation staff, had made a full recovery. Its coat gleamed with health, its eyes were bright and alert, and it moved with the energy and curiosity typical of a healthy young horse. Beside Guardian, taking wobbly but increasingly confident steps, was the newborn, named Hope, in honor of what she represented. Against all medical predictions, Hope had not only survived, but thrived. She had gained weight steadily, her vital signs had normalized, and she was bonding strongly with Guardian, who watched over her constantly with an almost parental protectiveness. In 30 years of veterinary medicine, I've never seen anything quite like this, Dr. Sarah Williams said, standing beside Emma at the window. The physiological trauma both these foals endured should have caused lasting damage, organ failure, neurological issues, developmental problems. But they're both completely healthy. It's as if their will to survive overrode normal biological limitations. Emma smiled, watching Guardian gently nuzzle Hope, encouraging the smaller foal to walk. What happens now? Can they be released back to the wild? Sarah nodded slowly. That's the goal, but it's complicated. Guardian is old enough and wild enough to survive if released back to a Mustang herd. But Hope, she was born during the worst possible conditions, never got colostrum from her mother in those critical first hours, and has been hand-reared since rescue. She's imprinted on humans to some degree. So she can't go back? Not immediately, but here's where it gets interesting. Sarah pulled up a tablet showing tracking data. We've been monitoring the Mustang band that Guardian and Hope's mother belong to. The band stallion is actually allowing his mares to approach the facility fence line. Very unusual behavior. It's almost like the herd knows their missing members are here. Over the next 6 months, the Conservation Center implemented a unique rehabilitation program. Guardian was gradually reintroduced to wild horse behaviors and eventually released back to his original herd, where he was immediately accepted. But Guardian did something unprecedented. He returned to the facility's boundary fence repeatedly, calling to Hope. Hope, now stronger and more developed, would call back. The bond between the siblings remained unbreakable despite physical separation. When Hope was finally deemed ready for release at 9 months old, the center coordinated with the herd's patterns. On a spring morning filled with the scent of wildflowers and new grass, Hope was transported to a meadow where Guardian's herd was grazing. Emma was there to witness it, having taken personal time to see the story through to its conclusion. As Hope tentatively stepped from the transport trailer, Guardian emerged from the herd, whinnying in recognition. The reunion was immediate and joyful. The two foals touching muzzles, circling each other, clearly communicating in ways humans couldn't fully understand. The herd stallion approached, sniffed Hope carefully, then, remarkably, accepted her. The band's lead mare, sensing the unique bond between the two youngsters, positioned herself protectively near both of them. As Emma watched Guardian and Hope gallop together across the meadow, finally free and reunited, she understood something profound. This story wasn't just about survival against impossible odds. It was about the depth of animal emotion, the power of sibling bonds, and the capacity for sacrifice that transcends species. What changed everything wasn't just finding them, Emma said quietly to Sarah, who'd come to witness the release. It was understanding what they'd already done for each other. Guardian taught us that wild animals aren't just surviving. They're loving, protecting, and sacrificing for each other, just like we do. Sarah nodded, tears in her eyes. And Hope taught us that sometimes miracles happen when love refuses to give up. In the Wyoming wilderness, two foals who should never have survived now ran free, their bond forged in snow and desperation. Their story, a testament to the incredible resilience and emotional depth of wild horses. Guardian looked back once toward Emma, standing at the meadow's edge. For a moment, their eyes met across the distance. Then the young stallion tossed his head and galloped after his herd, Hope running joyfully at his side. They were home. They were together. They were wild. Guardian and Hope continue to thrive in their wild herd, and their story has transformed how wildlife biologists understand sibling bonds in wild horses. Emma Thompson received the National Park Service's Achievement Award for her rescue efforts. If this incredible true story of survival, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bonds between siblings touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel for more amazing animal rescue stories. Hit that like button, share this video to spread their inspiring story, and tell us in the comments. What moment in this story moved you the most? Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the smallest acts of love create the biggest miracles.